Hello everyone. Today's topic is on excitation contraction coupling in a skeletal muscle. So to know this topic, we have to have a basic understanding of structure of a muscle, what is it made up of, and also we have to know about the sarcomere and also sarcotubular system. So before going into the topic, we'll briefly review about these topics and then we'll proceed to the topic proper. So when you take a skeletal muscle, it is striated. Now when you cut the muscle belly into half, you'll be seeing in the transverse section, you will be seeing many bundles within it. Okay, these bundles are called as fascicles. Now when you extend one of the fascicle, you can see that entire muscle fascicle will be covered by a covering. That covering is called as epimysium. And now within the fascicle, muscle fascicle, you will be having muscle fibers. Okay, these muscle fibers, now when you extend this muscle fiber, one of the muscle fiber, you can see it is covered by one more covering. That sheath is called as perimysium. Now within the muscle fiber also, you will be having multiple myofibrils. Okay, these fibrils, when you enlarge this fibril, you will be seeing striations. Okay, now the covering of this myofibril is called as endomysium. So these are the coverings of the muscle, and also how the muscle is divided. From the muscle, fascicle is derived. From the fascicle, muscle fiber is formed, which is similar to that of a cell. Okay, that is the muscle cell, and within the muscle cell you will be having myofibrils. So now coming to sarcotubular system. So in the earlier discussion, we discussed that muscle fiber is similar to that of a cell. So the covering of the cell is the cell membrane. The cell membrane in a muscle cell is called as sarcolemma. The sarcolemma will be invaginating into the sarcoplasm. The cytoplasm of the muscle fiber is called as sarcoplasm. So it extends into the sarcoplasm. Okay. Now this is transversed to that of a myofibril. You can see in the diagram on the right corner, you can see the myofibril, and now you have T tubules, okay, which are transversed to that of the myofibril. And also within the sarcoplasm, it is like almost like any other cell. It will be having nucleus, and also it will be having endoplasmic reticulum. That endoplasmic reticulum in case of muscle fiber is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now this sarcoplasmic reticulum extends parallel with the sarcolemma, and now at the terminal end it forms the cisternae. Okay, this cisternae is called as lateral cisternae. Now the T tubule along with the lateral cisternae forms a triad. Okay, this triad is important, remember the triad. So in this we discussed about the cytoplasm being the sarcoplasm, and the membrane of the muscle fiber is called sarcolemma, and the endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now the triad is formed by T tubule and L cisternae together. Okay, now you can imagine the muscle fiber will be having many number of myofibrils. So now we will see the structure of a myofibril. So myofibril will be having thick and also thin filaments. Okay, so you can see in the diagram here I am drawing a myofibril. Now when we enlarge this myofibril, you can see the green color, you can see the blue color ones, these are the thick filaments, and the green ones are the thin filaments. Now there are divisions between these fibers. These are called as Z discs or Weissenschibel discs, which means they are bulgings. Okay. Now the blue ones are the myosin or the thick filaments, which forms the anisotropic band. Okay, and thin filaments forms the I band, which is the isotropic band. So for a sarcomere to be formed, you can see half of I band, complete A band, and half of I band is involved. So this forms a sarcomere. Between the two Z discs, you will see a sarcomere. Now what are thick and thin filaments? So in the next slide you can see thick filament. Okay, thick filament, it is a myosin. It is made up of 6 polypeptide chains. So when you see the structure, it has head, neck and tail. Within the head, it has 2 sides. One is for binding of actin and one more side is for binding of ATP. Okay, And you can see I said 6 polypeptide chains, so 2 heavy chains and 4 light chains. These heavy chains forms the tail and the terminal end of this heavy chains forms the head, whereas you can see the 4 light chains on either side of the myosin head. And next coming to thin filament. So thin filament includes actin, tropomyosin and troponin. So coming to actin, actin is formed by globular actin molecules which are polymerized and then form a filamentous actin molecule. And now you have troponin T, troponin C and troponin I, which regulates the contraction of the muscle. Okay, even tropomyosin, it covers the active sites and it prevents the binding of actin with myosin. Okay, so when we said the sarcomere is made up of A band and also I bands, this A band is by myosin. Okay, and also you can see the coincidence of myosin with that of the thin filament, thick filaments with the thin filaments, all this together combines to form the A band. Now the heads of this myosin will be directed towards the actin and the tail ends of these myosin molecules will be towards the center. Okay, that's why the center there will be a lighter zone which is the H zone. Okay, when we discuss about sarcomere, we already discussed that it has A bands and I bands. So at the junction of A and I bands, you will be having this triad. So each sarcomere in a skeletal muscle has 2 triads. And now the Z is, between the 2 Z is you have a sarcomere. So now coming to excitation contraction coupling. Now when a nerve fiber is stimulated, in case of neuromuscular junction, there will be release of acetylcholine. Now this acetylcholine will go and bind to that of the channels which are present on the postsynaptic membrane, which causes opening of sodium channels and then leading to depolarization of the muscle fiber. Now this depolarization will be propagated and it will cause production of action potential. Now this action potential travels along the T-tubule and also it causes opening of the calcium, voltage gated calcium channel, which is the dihydropyridine receptor. Okay, it is a voltage gated calcium channel, so it causes entry of calcium, but its major action is it causes conformational change in the another channel. So that channel is present on the L cisternae of the triad. So in the L cisternae we will be having ryanodine receptor. Okay, DHPR is a voltage gated calcium channel and a ryanodine receptor is it is present on the L cisternae. Now when because of the action potential, DHPR conformational changes occurs in the ryanodine receptor. Now the sarcoplasmic reticulum is rich in calcium. Okay, intracellular calcium levels are always maintained low in the muscle fiber because of the sarcoplasmic reticulum, because it has calcium binding proteins, so which keeps the calcium concentration in check. Now also the sarcoplasmic reticulum has high amounts of calcium compared to that of the sarcoplasm. Now when the ryanodine receptor is opened, all the calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum enters into the sarcoplasm. Now this calcium will go and bind to that of the troponin molecule. So troponin has 3 components: troponin T, troponin I and troponin C. So troponin C is the subunit where the calcium will go and bind to the troponin C. Contraction coupling, it is also called as walk along or sliding filament theory. We will see how it is happening, what is sliding and what is walking. Now the actin filaments, as we already discussed, the active sites of the actin filaments are covered by tropomyosin. So in order to uncover the active sites, the troponin C should be activated by the calcium. Now the calcium is released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now it will come and attach to that of the troponin C. When calcium binds to troponin C, conformational changes occurs in the troponin and the troponin T will pull the tropomyosin molecule from the active sites into the groove. Now the active sites on the actin is exposed. So with the exposure of active sites, the myosin molecule, the myosin head has 2 sites, actin binding sites and ATP binding sites. So now when ATP binds to that of the ATP binding site, it has low affinity for actin, but when ADP is broken to ADP to inorganic phosphate, the energy which is released will cause activation of myosin head. Now actin myosin binding will occur. This forms a high energy bond which is the 90 degrees bond, which will go and attach to the actin. Now with the release of ADP and inorganic phosphate from the ATP binding site, the high energy bond is converted into low energy bond, which is the 45 degrees. So initially it was 90 degrees, now it is 45 degrees. Now because of the bending of the head, as it is attached to the actin active sites, it will move the actin medially. Now this causes, what it will cause? It causes contraction of the sarcomere. You can see decrease in the size of the sarcomere because actin molecule is pulled medially. Now when it is pulled medially, now new ATP molecule has to come and attach to that of the ATP binding site in case of myosin. Then it causes decreased affinity for myosin head to the actin. Now it will be released from that site. For it to go and attach to the next site, now again the ATP should be converted to ADP and inorganic phosphate. With the energy, again it forms the 90 degrees bond, which is the actin myosin cross bridge formation, and then 90 degrees bond is converted into 45 degrees because of the decrease in the energy, which is called as power stroke. It is moving the filament medially. This movement of actin over myosin is called as sliding filament theory. Okay, myosin is sliding along the actin. Okay, and also called as walk along theory. It is walking along the actin. So this is about the excitation contraction coupling. You can see this video. So this shows how the actin molecule is pulled medially.